The first 5 million is impossible. It's just impossible. The next 5 to get to 10 is really hard. Getting to 25 is pretty easy after you get to 10. And the rest? The truth is 8 out of 10 businesses fail in America within 3 years for one singular reason. You know nothing. And the real world's going to kick the living shit out of you. And I can't believe this has happened to me. But he was absolutely right. And so today, with all of the experiences I've had, all the good, the bad, and the ugly, and all of the horrible things that have happened in the businesses I've invested in, and all the euphoric ones and the amazing outcomes, that experience is distilled to intuition. I can sit in a room with somebody for 15 minutes and know if I've got a winner or not. And 99% of the time, I'm right. So I listen to the gut. And I listen to the person, I listen to the plan. I know it's going to work or it isn't. I just know. I'm that good. But he was right. The only way to get to where I am today is having spent 30 years doing it. It's the only way you can do it. You can't buy it. And so I really, really believe that about entrepreneurs and investing in them and supporting them. You need the experience that the road traveled gives you. That turns into intuition, and that becomes a very powerful tool.
How much of your success, let's just lump it in one bulk statement, some of your top successes, how much of that you think is luck? Now, you could say, I made my own luck, that's fair, and I think you're right, you do make your own luck.
Yeah.
But sometimes, come on, Mark Cuban, right place, right time, right, cashed out, that was lucky, don't you think? Timing. He's a very smart guy.
Yeah, no, and he's gone on to do it, and we all have. We've all had. You need the first big one that gives you the capital to do the next 10. That's what I've learned. Somebody told me once, way on in the beginning, when I was in the second year of my software venture. He said, the first 5 million is impossible. It's just impossible. The next 5 to get to 10 is really hard. Getting to 25 is pretty easy after you get to 10. And the rest, he was right. The first 5 was hell. It was hell. The second 5 was hell. Then it got a lot easier because by then you're deploying capital with an understanding of how hard it was to make the first 5 million. And I tell my entrepreneurs that in America, if you can acquire $5 million of wealth and have it sitting in a bank, you can live off that for the rest of your life. It's a great thing to have happen. But in acquiring it, if we're talking numbers now, you're just in the middle of the game at your first 5 million. You don't want to stop there. What it lets you do is take capital to invest in a whole lot of other ventures that you're maybe an operator in or maybe an investor in or both. And my path has been, the big exit of the learning company Mattel. There were 9 of us. It's a $4.2 billion transaction. That set me up for a lot of different things, of which I had great successes and crazy failures, losing millions of dollars on some, making millions on others. And what I've learned goes back to what you just said, you need a little luck. So if you're going to have a portfolio, if you're going to be an investor like I am, you need a lot of companies because the ones you think are going to be your best winners never are. And the ones that you think are going to be dogs that maybe you're taking a huge risk and end up being fantastic successes. And the path that this occurs on is very serendipitous. Markets change, economics change, products change. Poo-poo happens. Mm-hmm. And the outcome of that is never known until you get to the end of the road. And so I consider myself a pretty good investor today. I have a very good track record. I use the intuition that I learned from that guest lecturer as my guiding light. I have a huge team that I work with that does all the due diligence. But ultimately, when I deploy the capital, it's just a gut feeling. And I say to the guys, okay, great analysis, great spreadsheets. I want to sleep on it. I do that every week. I mean, we're putting money to work all the time, whether it's a second or third round or a new deal. Sometimes it feels right, sometimes it doesn't. And when I have to tell an entrepreneur I'm not going to invest, and they say, why not? I've got a feeling. That's my answer. The truth is 8 out of 10 businesses fail in America within 3 years for one singular reason. They're never able to get their customer acquisition costs below the lifetime value. You know, fancy way of saying they blow their brains out advertising because they can't get traction. They can't get viral. They can't get people to their site or their business in an economic way. And I'd rather deal with that, and I think I want them to be successful, but the market's a very competitive place. The barriers to entry today's world economy are practically zero. And so you need a great idea, you need a certain type of motivation, you need a team most often that helps each other and augments the weaknesses or helps mitigate them. And you know, I look at it that way, and I've got, you know, 39 portfolio companies, and any one day that phone's going to ring, and it will today sometime, with some euphoric outcome, something amazing happened to one of my companies, and some disaster is happening to another one. That happens every single day. That is the ebb and flow of life as an entrepreneur, and I'm used to it. But if you're just starting off, it's very hard to stomach.